Daddy. Oh.
A lot of people who poured into LA and the Canyons in the late 60s came from a folky background. And Sweet Baby James just becomes the sound of the Canyons, of Los Angeles, you know, in late 1969.
There is a young cowboy who lives on the range. His horse and his cattle are his only companions. He works in the saddle and he sleeps in the canyons, waiting for summer, his pastures to change.
When a singer-songwriter shows up, the first record, the first batch that they play you, that's 10 years worth of work. The second record is when you find out how good they are.
I knew I wanted to let the songs speak for themselves, and that possibly what I'd done wrong last time was getting the arrangement get a little bit in the way of the essence of the song, which is James and his guitar parts. So I made very sure that they were front and center at all times.
Good night, you moonlight ladies. Rock-a-bye, sweet baby Jane. Deep greens and blues are the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams and rock-a-bye, sweet baby James?
No one writes lyrics like James. He's completely unique. Through the good times and the bad times, and when he was down, he faced those furies, and he wrote about them, and they come out in his music.
So good night, you moonlight ladies. Rock-a-bye, sweet baby Jane. Deep greens and blues are the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams and rock-a-bye, sweet baby Jane?
Finding the band was an operation. I don't remember who introduced James or I first to Carole. Possibly Cooch, I don't know. But we met her and loved everything about her. Her songs, her piano playing, her persona, you know.
The feeling was real electric between them. Carole was obviously excited, and if you can imagine James' subdued nature being electric, it was.
First of all, you can ask me about James anytime, because I love him so much. It's that real, you know, everybody says, were you a couple? No. You know, do you ever think about it? No. The first connection was musical.
It turned out we spoke the same language. We sat down and we slipped back into the mother tongue, really. It was great. We played on each other's records. We just had a common mind, you know.
They're very different. They're very different. Carole is kind of the earth mother, Jewish mother kind of babe. James is kind of an ascetic, Protestant vicar kind of guy, in a way, although they're both hilarious in different ways. It's the contrast that really is what makes it so entertaining, and maybe always has.
James was one of the first artists that my mom met that, you know, wasn't an artist she just wrote for, that she kind of helped make their record and stuff. This was an artist who did something that she didn't know how to do, that she was inspired by, that she admired. And I think that he was really an inspiration to her.
I've always had confidence in the fact that when I played music, it touched people in some way. And the place I didn't have confidence was as a performer. That's where I had no confidence. That's where you came in.
I felt that Carole really should be singing her own songs. And with Cooch's help, we encouraged her to sing her own songs in my set.
This song is for C-Mark and for all the people at the Troubadour this week who've been really fantastic, and for you, who are also fantastic.
Carole debuted in '70, I guess it was. She opened at the Troubadour, very nervous. I think we went there together. I was excited because the song sounded really good, and I'd never heard my songs performed.
I had my act really carefully worked out, and I knew exactly what I was going to do and say. And at the end of my third number,
As the applause died down, I hear this voice coming over a speaker, a disembodied voice saying, Carole, you're not going to believe this.
There's been a bomb scare, a bomb threat phoned in, and we do have to evacuate the club. And Carole had the wit to say, as long as it's not me.
And that kind of broke the ice. I really felt comfortable up there. I realized that all I have to do is just be myself.
You got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. And people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel.
When she finally stepped up to the plate herself, it was like hitting a major vein, like a seam of water flowing underground or something. It welled up. Then after a while, she was opening for me, and then after a while, I was opening for her.
So maybe love can end the madness, maybe not all, but we can only try. You got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. Then people
She was remarkable. She wasn't barefoot like Linda Ronstadt, and she wasn't wearing flowers in her hair like Joni, and she wasn't being kind of gutsy like Bonnie Raitt. You know, she's kind of just being real.
And one of the greatest tributes, I think, to a performer there is when the bar would empty out and everybody would find an excuse to go to the bathroom and then find someplace to stand and watch the act. The bar was empty when Carole was on.
I don't know what it was about the Troubadour other than it nurtured the kind of audiences and the kind of musicians that wanted to come together, and they were the venue in which that happened.
Take the ribbon from your hair, shake it loose and let it fall.
The Troubadour represented a certain kind of hip factor for all kinds of maverick country artists. I mean, Kristofferson was sort of almost alternative country.
Till the early morning light.
I don't think any radios wanted to play anything that I recorded, because they thought I was a communist or something. I said, hell, I'm not even a good Democrat.
There was a political dichotomy between country and rock. The protesters against the Vietnam War were rock and rollers, and the people who were loving the flag and patriotic were country people, and there was a clash between them.
Let the devil take tomorrow.
The melting pot at that moment, what was bubbling just below the surface, was this great combination of kind of hippie rock and roll and country music.
Graham Parsons was famous for saying, this is the year that Jesus is going to make the hit parade.
The first job I had here, I think it was in June of '70, and I was opening for Linda Ronstadt. Robert Hilburn wrote us a great review, and I never had to work for a living after that.
Kris was fantastic, and again, he really fit into the tradition of the Troubadour. And that was my first night there, and I said, wow, this is going to be a great place to be.
'Cause yesterday's dead and gone, and tomorrow's out of sight, and it's sad to be alone. Help me make it through tonight.